right, I am back with what is probably going to be at least a few Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom videos. Sorry, I've been a little short on videos lately. I've been traveling for, I don't know, like a third of the last month. Well, I can write, I can't really film videos when I'm traveling effectively, so I've been a little down on output. Obviously, the new Destiny season launches in a week. I expect there to be some sort of cutscene or trailer or something later today, but I did want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom, what everybody is talking about right now. I'm starting, I don't know, 4 or 5 days late because of my traveling, but I spent most of yesterday playing, and I beat the first tutorial zone. Is that the tutorial zone? Like the one with the 3 shrines, and then you jump off the mountain or the island and then go to Hyrule. And so I can form some first impressions here. First, a bit of background. You may see me not really writing impressions about Switch games or doing videos about Nintendo stuff. I'm just not really a Nintendo person anymore. I grew up, my first system was N64. I played that religiously. GameCube, everybody played the Wii, everybody owned a Wii. I had a Wii U, but I barely used that as everyone didn't. And then I have an OG Switch. I've not bought any of the new models. I don't have an OLED, but like I don't play it. My last game I played, I popped the cartridge out. Guess what it was? Breath of the Wild. I have played Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. That is essentially a couple of. I think I played like Splatoon 2 or 3 or whatever briefly, and briefly Pokemon, but like I have barely played my Switch. So bringing this out, it's a very special occasion. I couldn't not play Tears of the Kingdom. I loved Breath of the Wild, like despite me not really playing Switch all that much. I certainly appreciated that game. I agree with all the lauding that game gets, and I knew Tears of the Kingdom reviews were going to be incredible. They are incredible. It is an obvious frontrunner for Game of the Year. I would almost be irresponsible in my job here if I didn't play at least that game. That said, I've run into a few issues here. So I can't play in handheld mode because I never got my Joy-Con drift fix on the left side. I was trying to enter my Wi-Fi password, and like the thing just kept scrolling over and over and over, and I couldn't even do it. I even using the touchscreen, it still is going across the screen. It took me like 20 minutes. I know if you like blow some compressed air into it or something, that might fix it, but like I'm such an idiot, I feel like I would just break it doing that. So anyway, I'm playing in docked mode with a Pro controller. I don't go anywhere. I don't really need to play the Switch in mobile mode. I have my own office here with my TV that is like a dedicated gaming TV, so that has not really been an issue. Immediately, I forgot about Nintendo's very fun thing where they switch all the buttons around from PlayStation and Xbox controllers. I switched A and B at the system level because I got so annoyed that B was not back and A was not forward. It was driving me nuts. I tried to switch X and Y, but that felt really weird in Tears. So once all this was out of the way, I got started. I'm not really like a Zelda story person, so the lore is a little bit lost on me. Like I get the overarching storyline of the Zonai. I don't really know that much about like all the Zelda timelines and stuff, but like I'm not really playing Zelda for the story. I can appreciate a Zelda game without the story. It's mostly about gameplay and mechanics for me. And Tears of the Kingdom has some obviously amazing gameplay and mechanics. And I saw one developer on Twitter where they were just like, Nintendo, I have a question. Like, how the fuck did you make this game? And like what that means is the concept of this game at baseline with the building mechanics kind of amplified the way they are. There was a little bit of that, and there were the different tools you could use in Breath of the Wild, but this is obviously a game centered around just building machines, building solutions to puzzles, and the crazy thing about it that I heard about and that I found myself already, even in these early shrines, is the sheer amount of ways you can solve whatever thing Nintendo throws at you in shrines in the world. Like it is kind of ridiculous to design these puzzles in a way that they can be solved with multiple solutions, like some things that people have never thought of, some really seemingly basic things like build a really long bridge to this area that you're not supposed to get to that way. And nothing really breaks. Like, you know, we have so many glitches in all these other games with just basic gameplay, but Nintendo has these like crazy physics and crazy building abilities, and like it all just works. Even in these early shrines, I said this on Twitter, but like there was one thing where like after you get the time rewind thing, and there's these clock hands, and you got to line them up for the door to open, and like the correct solution, because I looked it up later, was you're supposed to like rewind them in sync, and then they would go together, or you could use the ultra hand and just manually put them together. What I did is I picked up a raft from the previous waterfall section, brought it over to the door, turned it sideways, jammed it in the door, and then wait till both clock hands went around and got stuck on the log raft, and the door opened. That to me was just hilarious that actually worked. And I'm like, that can't be how it's supposed to work, right? And so I looked up the real solution, and I'm like, okay, I just, improvise my way through that. But like this happens over and over and over and over again in the world. Like even basic exploration, you're supposed to get to these 3 shrines on the main island. You can see one immediately. It's up on this tall, snowy mountain. You can go straight up the mountain and start trying to work your way up the icy path, which hurts you. And I'm like, I'm going to come back with warmer clothes, which I assume I will find later. I did not find warmer clothes before I got there. I realized that I essentially had to go all the way around the other side of the island, where I found the second shrine by accident after a sailing part. And then I found a cave, and that took me up to a higher part of the mountain. And then I cooked a meal, which gave me some level of cold immunity. And then I faced a giant ice wall, which I sort of went around. And like I think I built my way up part of it. No, I climbed a bunch of tree roots or something to get up to the top. And then I did the last dungeon. And then I found some warm pants right by that dungeon, which was not when I needed to find them. But like I did it, and I bet I could have gone through the bottom part in the initial part I saw if I remembered to cook meals for 8 minutes of cold rejection or whatever. But like the point is like there are different ways to approach that. And now I have skydived off the edge. I am in Hyrule, the big open field area, and I'm just starting that. I just got to the little fortified encampment where someone's in an observation tower. I gotta go talk to them. I know this is a massive game. To me, this feels like a game I'm going to be playing for like a year. I'm essentially going to be playing this until I get my Diablo 4 review code, which should be, sometime in the next week or so, and then I'm gonna have to put it down. Then a Destiny season launches, and I don't really feel an urgency to get through this. Like, I am not going to be competitive as like the guy who has a full Zelda review up, which has already happened for people who got review codes. I didn't even request a review code because I knew I couldn't even finish it anyway. Or I'm not going to be the guy who's writing a bunch of guides for every shrine. Like, I really respect the people who do that. I do not have that in me with my current timetable of all these releases. I had to stop Jedi Survivor. I'm like approaching the last planet of that game, and I have to shelve that for a month. I don't even know because I have all this other stuff to do. So this feels like a game I'm going to play over a long period of time, which I kind of like. I like the ability to kind of dip back into this game, which is not a live game because I'm not missing anything, but it's something I can keep circling back to as kind of a long-term project. I certainly have my issues with it. Like, there were many things in Breath of the Wild I didn't like. I get why they have destructible weapons. It is still not my favorite mechanic. I still don't really like stamina wheels. These are just not things I find enjoyable in games, and they are a very, very core part of this new era of Zelda. And then I think, obviously, I've talked about this before, I think the biggest obstacle to Tears of the Kingdom is the Switch itself. And I'm not really an FPS snob. Like, I can handle 30 FPS, and like the game runs okay in docked mode. It's not. The only problem I really have with FPS is when it's like hard locking every so often, which I haven't really experienced in docked mode. But oh man, this game 90% of the time looks pretty rough, and like it is very, very hard to go from like these high-end PC and modern console games to this after not having played my Switch for like 5 or 6 years in any real capacity. Like, it's not surprising because I know how far behind the Switch tech is and why it is that way, because it has this mobile element and all this stuff, but it is difficult. I have certainly seen some beautiful moments, like when you're falling down, there was a sunset, and like it was really gorgeous, but like moment to moment, like even doing as much as they can with the art design, and like certainly this is better than like the last Pokemon game, which looked horrific. It's still not great. And I know what everyone says, like Nintendo doesn't need good graphics to make a great game. That is true. I am fully believing that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a great game once I get more into it. I think it's a great game now. I've really enjoyed myself. I just can't find myself not wondering if, like, what if it was exactly this? All the gameplay was the same, except it didn't look like it was made in, like, 2010. Like, I don't think it would lose anything by being sharper, by running better, by, you know, having better graphics and modern engine. Like, I don't... As long as they kept, like, you know, the art style intact, combined with, like, actual promising, solid tech, I that's just what I want to see from Nintendo, but that has not been the entire lifespan of the Switch. And, like, they have wrung every little bit of capabilities out of the Switch with this, and I think they did as good of a job as possible with Tears of the Kingdom, but as someone who is not a Switch person, who is not really used to this, it is pretty jarring. And it, even, you know, hours and hours into the game now, like, I still, like, I get to a new zone and I'm like, this could be better. And, like, I guess over time it kind of fades and you're just getting involved in the game. And again, there are some, you know, good looking moments, but that is something that consistently bothers me. Like, in an era where, like, graphics are not really a factor because everything looks so good, like, we have really standout things sometimes, like Horizon Zero or Horizon Forbidden West NPCs are like the best looking NPCs I've ever seen. So like that's something that really stands out to me. But like there aren't that many games where it's just like these are bad graphics. So like going back to the Switch, doing what they can with art style, that is something that bothers me. And I know for some people that resonates, some people not. I do know there is a lot of emulation going on here because people want the game to run at 60 FPS. They want to dramatically increase the resolution to 4K. I'm not doing that. I don't love the concept of emulation. I'm not gonna like judge anybody. Also, I'm an idiot and I don't think I could download an emulator effectively with not getting a virus on my computer. I don't know. I'm sure it's not that hard, but I'm okay playing in pro mode, and I'm definitely going to pretty much only do that because I'm probably not going to fix my Joy-Con. So first impressions are overwhelmingly positive. I think the physics and the creativity of the puzzle design and the world design here is essentially unlike anything in the industry. Like, yeah, other games have puzzles, but it's like, here's the right answer to this puzzle. You better figure it out, and if you don't figure it out, you're going to look up a YouTube walkthrough. That is not this game. This game gives you borderline infinite solutions. Like, you know, within a dungeon, you only have a couple because there's only so many materials to work with, but like, just solutions that I'm sure Nintendo even never thought of themselves. And then plus like fun things like people launching Koroks into the sky and like crucifying them on carts and moving them around, like stuff that I'm pretty sure Nintendo does not love or approve of. But hey, they made the mechanics for it, so here we are. But yes, I really do love the game. I'm going to play it as long as I can before I have to do all this other stuff. And I might have some more commentary on it later, probably some articles, but it is going to be a long-term project for me because I know the main story is like 40 hours at least, I think, and then you can put 200 hours into a game like this easily. I know people that put 1,000 hours in Breath of the Wild. Like, there's very, you know, infinite amount of things you can do practically in a world this sprawling. So, obviously, I recommend it, even if you're not really a Switch person anymore. It's obviously worth playing. It is definitely... I think it's definitely going to be Game of the Year. Like, not... Because it might not be my personal Game of the Year, because my tastes are, you know, a little different, perhaps. But, like, it is the general state of the industry. It's probably going to be Game of the Year, given what else is coming out here. Which is cool. I can easily see how it deserves it. But definitely play it yourself. If you are like me and are having trouble getting past the Switch graphics... just try to get past the Switch graphics because the game itself is fun enough to be worth it. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.